الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله, all praise and thanks is due to Allah. نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره. We praise Him and we thank Him, while at the same time we beg His guidance and His forgiveness. ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. And we seek refuge and protection with Him from the evil of our own souls, our egos, and from the evil consequences of our actions. من يهده الله فلا مضل له. And whomever Allah Jalla fi'ula chooses to guide from His love, compassion, and His mercy, then know that no matter what someone tries to do to them, no matter what obstacle is placed in front of that person, no matter what they try to do to tempt them, dissuade them, or to put fear in their heart, once Allah has guided someone, there is no one who can misguide them. وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ. And on the opposite end, whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not written for them guidance, then no matter what you explain to them, elaborate, clarify, whatever is explained to them from the Baraheen or the Burhan or the Furqan, it does not matter. There is something inside that person's heart. There is some choice that they have made where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides for them that they will not be guided. And there is nothing that anyone can do to guide them. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. And I testify in front of all of you that there is no God, there is no deity, there is no one who is truly deserving of our worship, our praise, and our sacrifice except Allah, Him alone and without partners. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. And I further testify that Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, is His servant and final messenger. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Oh, you who believe, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be mindful of Him, be conscious and aware of Him, the fear and consciousness and awareness that He is deserving of you, and don't die. Rather, don't you dare die except in a state of submission to His will, i.e. don't die except His will. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. O humanity, fear your Lord who created you from a single soul, and that single soul being our father Adam. وَخَلَقَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا. And then from him Allah created his mate, our mother Eve or Hawa. وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً. And from them both, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala populated the earth with many men and women. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامَ. And fear your Lord to whom you answer mutual rights. And never cut the ties of kinship. Always uphold the ties of family. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلَيْكُمْ رَقِيبًا. Because indeed Allah is always and ever watching over you. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. O you who believe, again fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be mindful of Him, be conscious of Him, have taqwa of Him, And not only this, don't stop there, but also always speak the truth. A straightforward word. يُصْلِحْ لَكُمْ أَعْمَالَكُمْ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. In doing so, Allah will repair your deeds and forgive you your sins. وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا. And of course, whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger have achieved a mighty triumph. إِنَّ أَصْدَقَ الْحَدِيثِ كِتَابُ اللَّهِ. The most truthful and noble of speech, undoubtedly, is the Book of Allah, Kalamullah. وَخَيْرُ الْهَدِي هُدَى مُحَمَّدٍ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. And the best of guidance is that of our dear and beloved teacher and leader, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is no better guidance and way and sharia and path and legacy than to follow his. وَشَرُّ الْأُمُورِ مُحْدَثَاتُهَا. And the worst of affairs are to attempt to introduce something new into the religion of Islam. وَكُلُّ مُحْدَثَةٍ بِدْعَةٍ. And whenever someone tries to do that, it is a religious innovation. وَكُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ. And every religious innovation is misguidance. وَكُلُّ ضَلَالَةٍ فِي النَّارِ. And every misguidance doesn't go anywhere except to the hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. Allahumma ameen. So it's May 31st, and as we all know, this late into the school year, it is a time where families are going to so many different graduations, cousins, relatives, parents standing with their sons and their daughters in that beautiful milestone that's been reached, that accomplishment and that moment that they can be so proud of all the sacrifices and effort that they made for their sons, for their daughters, to see their niece or nephew, to reach that and to walk across the stage. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, it's a beautiful thing. And as they should, support, stand with, and celebrate them having reached such a milestone. But it is also the time, as we all know, for the summer break, the summer vacation. Some would call the freedom of our children, and in other circles they might call it the imprisonment of our parents. Because as we know, this is a time that many people struggle with. Many parents with their families, they struggle with. Especially those households where they may not have the luxury of working from home. Or they may not have the luxury of having a two-parent home. It might be a single-parent home. Or both parents have to work. And so now they have to struggle to figure out, what are we going to do? What are our kids going to be busy with? Right? And some parents, ultimately, they just say, Dabbir halik. You figure it out. It's your free time. Do whatever you want. Just don't burn down the house. But inshallah ta'ala, what I would like to talk about in this khutbah, brothers and sisters, is how can we, as parents and as a community and families, how can we help our children to have a good and productive summer vacation, where they still enjoy themselves, they still have free time, but that it is balanced, where at the same time they can still grow and develop, right, and not feel like their entire summer was wasted. And brothers and sisters, of course, in order to be able to do that, there has to be some planning. And as the famous saying goes, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. If you fail to plan, then plan to fail. What does that mean? What that means is, if you don't prepare, if you don't get ready, before the summer comes, or before anything for that matter, before the interview, before the fight, before the game, before the wedding, before the marriage, before the children, if you don't prepare in advance, if you don't get ready in advance, if you don't get things in place in advance, then know for sure, when that wedding happens and you say, right, she says, I accept, and the family, they say, we accept, what did that happen? There's a good chance that it might end in failure. If you didn't prepare for your children in advance, you didn't learn about what it means to raise Muslim children with strong Islamic identities in advance, before they were even here. But before you even chose your spouse, you didn't plan in advance, there is a good chance that it might be failure. And similarly, summer, if you don't plan, then it is a good chance that it will be something that you look back on 2 months from now, 2.5 months from now, because it's give or take an average of about 10 weeks. that you're going to look back and you say, where did the time go? It's like the blink of an eye, it's gone, and you look at yourself and your children, you say, what did they do? What did they accomplish? A bunch of video games, binging, etc. But nothing for nothing. But they haven't done that. And so, of course, we said one of these things that you want to do as parents, the household, is plan. If it's a two-parent household, make sure the parents are on the same page. That they're on the same page. And if it isn't, then make sure that you yourself, whether it is the father or whether it is the mother, and it's a single-parent home, that you are clear-eyed and you know what you want for your kids and your family and your household by the end of the summer. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, what I want to focus on and hone in on, and how we can do that, 3 things. How many things, ya jama'ah? 3 things that we want to look at when it comes to preparing for the summer, while you're having your summer with your kids, right? And how you can be productive with them, or they can be productive, inshallah, and have a beneficial summer. First thing, ayyuha al-ikhwa wal-akhawat, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He swears about time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His glorious book, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever He swears by something, whenever Allah Jalla fi ula, He takes an oath about something, there are a number of things that are going on. Number 1, whatever it is that Allah swore by, whatever He mentioned, وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَالشَّمْسِ وَالضُّحَاهَا وَاللَّيْلِ وَالْقَمَرِ. All these different things that He's swearing by, those things in and of themselves, they are something important, and He wants you and I to think about it and to reflect on it. He doesn't discuss it or talk about it, He just swears by it. He swears by the sun and then talks about something else. He swears by the moon, or He swears by the night or the day, and then He talks about something else. So the thing that He swears by, in and of itself, that thing, يعني شيء مهم. And so here Allah swears by what? In Surah Al-Asr, He swears by time. That in and of itself shows that time is what? Time is important. And Allah wants you to reflect and think on the significance and the importance of time. Time is not limitless, أيها الإخوة. Time is finite. أيها الأخوات. Time is something, and every time that something is limited or finite or ephemeral, it goes away after a period, it makes it more valuable and significant. Because it's not what? Because it's not endless. Right? I only have so much. So that means I have to do what? I got to take care of it. I got to look after it. I got to be careful about it. And then He says what? Right after that, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. That all of humanity are in a tremendous loss. They are losers. And of course, no doubt, somebody is the ultimate loser if they don't reflect and think about time, recognize, acknowledge its significance, and start moving accordingly. And to further support this importance in Islam, from the Quranic lens, also from the prophetic lens of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُوطٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. There are 2 tremendous blessings, 2 gifts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives so many people, and yet they neglect it. They don't look after it. They don't take care of it. They think, I got tomorrow. It's all good. And he said those 2 blessings are what? As-Siha, your good health, wal-Faragh, and your free time. And how much free time do our sons and our daughters have in the summer? And then another hadith to further support this. The Prophet ﷺ, he mentions, and this hadith is narrated by Anas ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, wherein he said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لرجل وهو يعظه اغتنم 5 قبل 5 شبابك قبل هرمك وصحتك قبل سقمك وغناءك قبل فقرك وفراغك قبل شغلك وحياتك قبل موتك. And I want you to pay attention to all 5 things. Because I know one of them seems to be dealing with what I'm talking about, but pay attention to all 5 of them. Number 1, he says what? Take advantage, or excuse me, the Prophet ﷺ, and he was exhorting or reminding or giving like a wa'd, like fear Allah, pay attention, be careful. I'm warning you about this. Ya'iduhu. He was saying what? Take advantage of 5 things before 5. Number 1, your youth before your old age. That's number 1. And then secondly, your good health before you get sick. Number 2. Number 3, your wealth before your poverty. Number 4, your free time before you end up getting busy. And then number 5, your life before your death. Now, they might all seem to be different things, but in reality, they are all related to what? They are all related to time. All of them are related to what? Every last one of them are related to time. Because if you think about, right, your youth, that's a portion of your time. When you're young and you gradually, eventually, over time, you get older. And there's a period when you're healthy, when you're all good, and then you eventually, at some point in time, you get what? You get sick. And then there might be where you have money in your pocket, that's a period of time, and there might be a time when you are what? You don't have it. In this economy, I've lost how much money I have, or I spent it, or the business went under, or I lost my job. But again, that's what? Within time. And then, of course, your free time before you're busy, and then your life before your death. And your life is just what? It's just time. It is a clock. That is eventually or gradually, moment by moment, hour by hour, second by second, it is running out. You are running out of time. And so, subhanAllah, brothers and sisters, this is something that is very important, that we want to make sure that our young, our children, during their summer, that they are taking advantage of their time. Because if you do not, I assure you, at worst, they will be engaged in haram, impermissible, foul, filthy, dirty things that you don't want them to be engaged in. Whether it is on their phones, whether it is out in the streets, because you might be at work and they're out hanging out because nobody's there to watch them, they're unsupervised, etc. Or at best, again, we're talking about if they're unsupervised and you don't help them with this. At best, they'll just waste all their time on their phone. At best. And just playing video games. Or, subhanAllah, binge watching, where they're just watching show after show, season after season of whatever it is that they might be watching. That's at best, let alone the haram that they might be involved in. And so helping them manage their time. Helping them manage their time. This is number 1, and this is something that is very important. All right, play it. Well, what are we going to be helping them in? What can we help them focus on when it comes to using their time and utilizing their time? It is being productive. So number 2, this area that you want to look at and focus on, that I'm trying to bring to your attention in this khutbah, is them being productive. With good habits and things that are positive. If you look at the life of the Prophet, ﷺ, and you can look, there are books simply on the day of the Prophet ﷺ for 24 hours. From the time that he closed his eyes to go to sleep, till the time that he wakes up, lives his entire life, going through everything until he closed his eyes again. He is the most documented human being in history. And if you look at the Prophet ﷺ, he was always productive. He was always doing something productive. That productivity could be resting. That productivity could be enjoying his time with his family. But nonetheless, it was always something positive and productive. So for example, when Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, our mother, al-Mu'mineen, when she was asked, what was the Prophet ﷺ like? What was his time like when he was with his family? And she said, radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said, كان يكون في مهنة أهله تعني خدمة أهله فإذا حضرت الصلاة خرج إلى الصلاة. And this is Sahih Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ, right? She said about him that when he was at home, he was engaged. He was with his family. He was present. He wasn't taking his family time and checking out and carving out a little bit of time for work and phone calls and emails and some other stuff, some extra stuff to catch up on. When he was with his family, he was with his family. But when it came, that's one thing, right? something productive. But then when it was time for salah, it was time for salah. He would go and he would leave for the salah. And in some places it would say that he was what? It was as if he didn't notice. There's a time for this, there's a time for that, but it is all productive. And then of course the Prophet ﷺ, he would have qaylula, he'd take naps, he would take a rest, he would enjoy himself, he would wrestle with his companions, he would encourage them that they need to learn, horseback riding, that they need to know how to shoot bows and arrows, which might be different in our time, right? To know how to swim. All of these are leisure activities, but they're all what? They're all skills that are productive. So looking at your children, yes, that they should have some free time, but looking at having them do something productive. Whether it is that they are having spiritual goals and they're learning about their deen, which of course many people are looking to do. Where can I put my kid in for the madrasa or dusi, for the summer program or whatever? But it can't just be that. It can't just be that. So, like I said, some skill where they are learning how to have responsibilities at home. Where they clean up their own room, that they help with the cooking, they help with the chores in the house, they help look after the house, with the wife or with your father, whatever it is, but that they are helping, doing something productive. Not just, here's some screens, just leave me alone while I go to work, just don't make no noise. That they're doing what? Something productive. Could be summer camp. Like I said, it could be something them learning how to swim. Could be something them learning to do some skill, as we said about them, roles and responsibilities in the home, etc. So that's number 2. Play it. And then number 3, and this is also very important, is, and this is the last one, is the home environment. The home environment. And this is a good time, brothers and sisters, because oftentimes throughout the school year, you as a father were already busy, taking care of your responsibilities. You as a mother, already busy. And then your kids, they were at school. And then by the time they come home, they got 2 hours of homework, 3 hours of homework, studying, etc. Right? So you're always going to be you're almost like a company. I have to give you a ride, I have to pick you up, I have to drop you off, I have to make sure you have food. But the time to sit down and bond and enjoy each other's company. Not because you have something to do specifically, but just to enjoy each other's company, oftentimes it's limited throughout the school year. But now you have time. So the home environment, making sure that you are, as the father, who's leading the household, or the mother, who's also the deputy leading the household, that you are making valuable time, quality time with your kids, with your family. And carving out a portion of that time to be specifically about me. Not because of the sheikh, not for the ma'alim, not at the madrasa, not at the dutsi, not somewhere else, not a conference, not a workshop, just you with your kids. You as a father, you as a mother, engaging your children in conversation about their deen. And if you have trouble thinking about, well, what should I talk about? I'm not a sheikh. I need to still learn myself. I feel like I don't know enough. Taking something as simple as the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, as we've mentioned numerous times here, the tafsir of Juz Amma, the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi, Riyadh al-Salihin, right? These are all books that everybody in this room should be familiar with. Not because you're an alim, not because you're a sheikh, you could be an Uber driver, you're just a 9-to-5 Muslim. Everybody should be familiar with the books that I just mentioned. The Gardens of the Righteous by Imam al-Nawawi. The 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. The biography of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. You should be familiar with these things. And you yourself should know so that you can help your kids. But making the household be a place where it is an environment, right, that you are engaged with them. And then also along with that, again with the environment, the home environment, is not allowing them to go to their rooms and lock themselves in for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, and just them in their tablets, or them in their phones, and them and just, And not just because they're little, not because they're 12, 10, 9, 8. I'm talking about the 16 and the 17-year-old. Yes, them as well. That there is time that is carved out where you're not going to sleep until dhuhr time and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're going to have to do something productive in this household. Oh, but it's my time. Yes, it is your time, but as a parent, it's an amana. Allah's going to ask me about what you was doing sleeping on the couch until Asr time in my house. Allah's going to ask me. I'm not saying you can't have no free time, but you got to be productive with your time. طيب أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. I say what I say first and foremost for myself and then for all of you. I beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness, and I exhort and I remind all of you to do the same. Indeed, He is oft forgiving, He is especially merciful. الحمد لله وحده وكفاه وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم ثم أما بعد. So a couple more things, brothers and sisters, about those three areas that we want to focus on. We said number one is about time management. How can we help them to do this? Number one, and there's two things you want to do, is you want to have your kids, you tell them what goals or what you want to accomplish, what do you want to do over the summer. Let them write that down. Let them come up with that, right? That's number one, is what goals do they have? Spiritual, whatever fun they want to do, everything, but in order for them to be productive and have goals, they got to plan. And you got to make that concrete. They need to write it down, have goals. And I say them write it because if you do, then they're going to say it's too much, or I can't do it, or I didn't want to do it, right? But then it'd be a lot easier for you to hold them accountable to what they said they want to do. And you do have to hold them accountable for it. The second thing, right, along with that, about the time management, right, is that once they have their goals, you make them work backwards from there. Every week, on Sunday, for example, what do you want to do for this week? What did you want to accomplish this week? Based on those goals that you said, this is what you want to do. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you can't have input. That doesn't mean you can't have a say. But the point is what? Help them make it concrete by writing down their goals and planning their week. Play it. And then the other thing, when it comes to the being productive, this is important. When I say being productive, taking advantage of this time to make them have good habits. That's why I mentioned something as mundane as them on their own, cleaning their rooms and taking care of, helping take care of the household. When they would have had a semi-legitimate excuse, I got school, I got studies, I got blah, 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 it would have been too much. They don't have that excuse in the summer now. They need to help, and that's both for the boys and the girls. I just mentioned the Prophet ﷺ that his wife said, كَانَ فِي مِهْنَةِ أَهْلِهِ. And it's mentioned in Musnad Imam Ahmed, just exactly what does it mean when he is in the service of his family? That he would take care of his own needs, mend his own clothes, take care of his own shoes, to repair them, right? And he would fix them, and he would help his family in the affairs of the household, not just, I worked already, khalas, and then I just sit and chill and everything is taken care of, or whatever. No, he would help. And so many of us, we are hyper-focused on making our daughters be good, righteous wives, and neglecting our sons to be these spoiled little brats. And I'm sorry to say it that way, but we see too many, especially when it comes to things like when they can go out, when they can come back home, etc. The daughter, she got to be in by mother. Which, her coming home early, not being out all times of the night, that's good, it should be. But it should be the same thing for the son. Why is your son out at 2 o'clock in the morning? Why is he out at 3 o'clock at night? Why is that okay for him, not okay for her? It's not okay for either of them. But the point though is that what? Have them doing something productive. And then thirdly, we said is you being engaged in that home environment. You engage in them, talking to them, sitting with them, making quality time, but it has to be something that is fixed. It can't be you did it in the beginning of the summer, and then you never talk to them again until the end of the summer. No. It has to be something regular. Just like you have dinner, or you have breakfast, lunch, etc., it has to be something regular. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our young, our children, and our women folk. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send the peace and blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his pure family, his good companions, and all those who follow them in righteousness until the last day. Allahumma azza al-Islam wal Muslimin. Allahumma azza al-Islam wal Muslimin. Allahumma azza al-Islam wal Muslimin wa adhill al-shirk wal mushrikeen wa dammir a'da' ad-din ya Rabb al-alamin wa ahmi hawzat ad-din. اللهم اصلح أئمتنا وولاة أمورنا واجعل ولايتنا في من خافك واتقاك واتبع رضاك يا رب العالمين. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكيها أنت خير من زكاها وأنت وليها ومولاها يا رب العالمين. اللهم اصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا، وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا، وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي فيها معادنا، واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير والموت راحة لنا من كل شر. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنبنا كله، دقه وجله، أوله وآخره، سره وعلنه. اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا وما أنت أعلم به منا. أنت المقدم وأنت المؤخر، لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وللمسلمين والمسلمات، المؤمنين والمؤمنات، الأحياء منهم والأموات. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Oh Allah, we ask you to show us the truth for what it is and to grant us the strength, the courage, and the sincerity to follow it. And we also ask you to show us falsehood for what it is and grant us the strength, the courage, and the sincerity to stay away from it, to call others away from it, and to fight against it when necessary. وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
So اعتدلوا صوت صفوفكم رحمكم الله. Brothers and sisters, as much as you can, straighten the lines, fill in the gaps, and fill in the first rows first. And you want to make it heel to heel, not toes to toes. It's heels, your heels next to the person next to you, their heels. And that's what's going to make the line straight. Because if you think about it, our feet are all different sizes. So, anyways, and turn off your cell phones.
Turn off the cell phone, thank you.
Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحى لها يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
We have a few announcements, so please, if you can stay for 5-10 minutes. Jazakallah khair.
As a brother Jazakallah khair mentioned, just a couple of announcements. First and foremost, I wanted to make a special thanks to our brother Michael Abraham, who came last week on Saturday and gave a program that alhamdulillah had glowing reviews. And for all the brothers and sisters who came and supported and benefited, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and make it a source of goodness. And inshallah, he may have already mentioned that there will be more of those workshops coming up about parenting and how we can help our children in public schools. And so inshallah, we hope that you'll continue to come and support and benefit. Secondly, there is, alhamdulillah, cancellation for tonight's class, the halaqah, the tafsir of Juz Amma. Tonight we're supposed to be going through Surah Al-Zalzala, but tonight's class is canceled. We'll also put an announcement on the WhatsApp group, but please be aware that tonight's class is canceled, and then we'll continue next week, inshallah, just because I have some other engagements, inshallah. Lastly,
Two more announcements real quickly. We last Friday, we announced that we're going to have a CPR class here for those who are interested. It is very important that our community knows how to perform a CPR. It could be a friend, it could be your family, it could be anybody here that would need it one day or something. But we have a class we can give today. If you want to stay, raise your hand. We have a gentleman here who knows, he's a nurse and a CPR qualified, and he can perform that. It'll take about half an hour to maybe 20 minutes or half an hour. Okay? Jazakallah. Number two, we do have two Afghan community members who moved to Minnesota. They still need some help. And number three, we have a Muslim brother who is selling his two-bedroom condo. If you want any information, come see me.
And then the last thing is we have a sister that came last weekend to the Masjid in very bad shape. She really needs support. Her husband abandoned her with a child. So I encourage you all, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to help that sister. If you would like to donate any money for her, you can come talk to me, or you can